Hello, everyone. Hi, good day to you. My name is Sabarinathan Sampath. I'm Senior Vice President with RackNap. I'm going to be organizing this webinar today. And for the benefit of making sure everybody is able to hear me, if you are able to hear me, please, would you mind just typing it at the chat window that you can hear me loud and clear? Just so that I can be sure that you are able to hear me. Okay, perfect. I can get some. I've already got some confirmations that I'm audible. Perfect. I think we've got a sizable number of people already joining in, so I think we should get started in the interest of time. Um, so first of all, just to introduce, what we are going to be covering in this webinar today is, Microsoft has been offering a number of new features and offers under the CSP program. And what we will be targeting today is understanding what are those new features and how you as a CSP can benefit, or how your partners are, how your customers can benefit from it as well, and what is RackNap's role in all of this. Okay, so in summary, the overview of the entire offerings, what is in it for you as a CSP, how your customers can benefit, and what is RackNap's play in all of this. And we'll do a brief demo about the platform capabilities in terms of what RackNap is able to do from a billing and provisioning automation perspective of these new offerings, and Q&A as well as we go. So please feel free to start typing your questions on the chat window so that we can try and get them answered during the discussions itself. And you may park some questions at the end too. Feel free to do so as per your convenience. Okay. So Microsoft has been introducing some of these features. Most notable amongst them in the most recent past is primarily to do with Azure Reserved Instances. Okay? When your customers have some predictable amount of workload for an appropriate duration, be it a yearly basis or be it a multi-year basis, etc., when there is some kind of predictability in that workload, then Microsoft is encouraging customers to purchase this reserved instance, which is something which is offered at a very, very attractive price for the customers. So Microsoft has introduced this reserved instance, which gives the privilege for the customers over other on-demand purchasable options for customers as well. So let's say a customer is having an on-demand resource which he is purchasing, and another customer is purchasing a reserved instance. This customer who is purchasing reserved instance has a preference over the other in terms of workload, resource allocations, etc. Okay. And the good thing is, because there is predictability in the workload as such, Microsoft is offering significant savings on this compared to standard on-demand workloads. Now, a calculation on the Microsoft website typically states that on a 1 year or a 3 year billing cycle, some of the savings could be as high as 72%. Okay, so this is something very, very attractive for the customers, and you as a CSP may be able to offer this to entice your customers to purchase them so that they can benefit from the savings significantly. Okay. The second aspect is, the Windows Server licenses and SQL Server licenses have been sold under different models over a period of time. These could be, for example, offered under the SPLA licensing program, enterprise agreement, open license, etc. All of those different options are continuously being available. But what Microsoft has done recently is it has actually brought that under the CSP program, whereby if a customer is able to buy reserved instances and able to use some of his existing licenses, it is giving him a hybrid benefit option of additional discounts as well. So in effect, Microsoft's reserved instances and the software subscriptions under the CSP program are the couple of items which we will walk through in a bit more detail during these discussions. Okay. And what is the benefit for the CSPs in selling these offerings, right? So basically, customers are getting very sophisticated in terms of their needs. They are wanting very cost-effective solutions which meet their demands. And also when they have predictability in their workloads as well, they are looking for significant cost savings. So they are getting all of that from this, and this is something which the CSPs can offer to their customers. And also, the CSPs can acquire, provision, and manage the reserved instances as well, and the server subscriptions on behalf of the customers, which is also providing one more avenue or a channel to increase their revenue potential here. So CSPs have a much greater chance of increasing the revenues by offering such highly discounted pricing options for these reserved instances to their customers. And what is in it for the customer? Why should the customer buy this, right? Because naturally, as per what we saw earlier, these reserved instances, they offer a significant amount of savings from an on-demand workload. Okay, so there was a particular statistics which I saw recently, which said that for an on-demand workload for a 4-core machine, whatever you're running, if you run it for 2 months, that's much expensive than an RI subscription for a year. Okay, so that's the kind of savings you are seeing, in terms of 72% on using reserved instances. Okay, and also if you're going to be using the hybrid benefit option, whereby you are going to use your existing server licenses, you get some additional benefits as well, in terms of savings too. Okay, and with RI you are able to share it across multiple subscriptions, or you may be able to use it on a single standalone subscription as well. So both of these options are also feasible under the RI. Okay? And Microsoft has opened up APIs whereby customers are able to purchase this easily under the CSP program, whereby control panel vendors are able to integrate their platforms to the RI instances to be able to be provisioned and built accordingly. Okay, so we've looked at so far, the capabilities what Microsoft has introduced in the recent past. Okay, probably in the last 3 months as such. Okay, but what is in it for RackNap, and what is RackNap's role or play in all of this? Okay, so if you look at RackNap as such, what is RackNap and how does it help Microsoft CSPs as such? RackNap is a cloud services delivery platform, helping direct CSPs, indirect CSPs, or distributors to be able to automatically provision services and build them as well. Okay, so if you look at the automation aspect of it, you're looking at, for example, automatically provisioning Office 365 under the CSP program, or Azure under the CSP program. For example, the reserved instances, server licenses, etc. All of this can be provisioned via RackNap automatically. Okay, and apart from the automatic provisioning aspect of it, RackNap can help build these subscriptions as well automatically, because as you may have seen, billing complexity is one of the foremost pain points amongst the CSPs. Okay, and to be able to bill customers accurately, and then to be able to be continuously be able to be giving the opportunity for the customer to be able to manage this also, is something which RackNap can help. Okay, aside to the provisioning aspect of these subscriptions under the CSP program, Microsoft encourages you to be able to bundle your own IP with each of these services too, whereby you can bundle your professional services, your managed services offerings with it, or if you're having, for example, any ISV applications as well, RackNap helps you to bundle all of that together to be able to be sold to your customers. Okay. And as per the recent direct build requirements from Microsoft as a part of the tier one direct reseller opportunity, Microsoft has mandated that you need to provide support to your customers, and Microsoft will in turn provide support to you under various different program options. Okay, and RackNap has ticketing tool to be able to help you manage that. It has sales and marketing capability too, whereby it can help you with managing your forecasts as well, and also it has inventory management capability too. Okay? Where- Whereby if you want to manage or keep a track of inventory, it can help you do that as well. Okay? So if you look at what is RackNap's role in the overall cloud supply chain? Okay, the cloud supply chain involves the OEMs like Microsoft selling to resellers, resellers selling to end customers, which could be SMBs, enterprises, or customers as well. Right. So in this play, for example, the Microsoft calls it the direct sale play, whereby OEMs, the resellers sell to end customers. Okay, the direct sale model. In the indirect sale model, there is a distributor in the middle, so whereby distributor sells to resellers and resellers sell to end customers. So there is a B2B play and a B2C play. And RackNap actually helps with the automatic provisioning of services between the distributor and the reseller, or I would say, and the reseller and the customer as well. So both the models are taken care by RackNap. Okay. I'll probably open up for a quick poll to understand what is the spread of the audience in this forum today, to understand how many of the CSPs who are here are direct CSPs, how many are indirect, just to get a gauge of the size of the audience here. Okay. I've just opened up the poll. Please feel free to vote your appropriate options in there, just so that we get a feel of the audience present in this forum today. Okay, we'll wait for a minute or so that we can get this concluded properly. We'll wait another 10 seconds. Okay, we'll pause here now. About 55% of the audience have confirmed that they are direct CSPs. 30% are indirect, either as a provider or reseller, and the remaining 15%, they are not a Microsoft CSP. Potentially, they may think about going through the Microsoft route eventually when they start, looking at some of the options what Microsoft is offering. Okay, thank you for that poll. Now let's move on swiftly to the other topics here what we wanted to cover today. So if you look at the capabilities in terms of what currently RackNap offers, let me just hide the poll right now so that you're able to see the next screen right now. Yeah, so if you look at the functional overview about what RackNap can do, RackNap offers a storefront for you as a CSP, whereby you can display your products in the marketplace, okay, to be able to sell to your end customers. So RackNap is the service delivery platform helping you to deliver services. So for that service delivery aspect, RackNap offers a storefront where you can display Office 365, Azure, Reserved Instances, etc., and plus other cloud offerings or your own IP offerings, whereby your customers can buy from that storefront. Okay. What are the products you can display here? You can display OEM's products or your own products or some traditional services which are primarily, let's say, old age or traditional data center based services as well. Okay, and all of this is managed and powered by RackNap's full-blown in a backend engine, which is primarily, for example, helping with billing capabilities around prepaid, postpaid, pay-per-use models, self-service capability for the customer, where the customer can manage the services by themselves, support capability where the customer can manage the support interaction with you as the CSP, and multiple other options, including business intelligence as well. So all of these capabilities help drive the interaction between the CSP and the customer. Okay, and RackNap acts as the intermediary layer between you and the customer, and also between you as a CSP and Microsoft as the vendor from a provisioning standpoint too. Okay, so this is an overarching view of what RackNap is capable of doing. It is primarily a service delivery platform helping to automate and provision services via a unified interface. Okay. So with that said and done, what is the value proposition for the CSPs as such? Customer acquisition rates are pretty low, whereby it is becoming extremely difficult to acquire customers nowadays because of heavy competition as such. So RackNap helps you with the strategic marketing and digital marketing capabilities, whereby it helps you to helps you with a number of activities like webinars, events, blogs, and various other social media campaigns, etc., to be able to drive customer acquisition and increase them as well. If you look at the next aspect, what RackNap focuses on is reducing the cost of operations. So if you look at it, with automation of the provisioning of the services and the billing, RackNap helps to effectively use the manpower in your organization, because it helps to automate a number of things, whereby it is effectively reducing the cost of the operations too. And also, by offering, for example, managed services as well, RackNap is helping you to drive margins or increase the margins as well. Okay, so these are some of the capabilities in terms of what RackNap is actually able to do. Okay, and the value proposition what it offers to the customers as well. Okay. These are some of the low-level details in terms of what each of these activities do. For example, from a digital marketing activities, we do events, webinars, etc. Automation tool perspective, we offer a SEO optimized storefront or website to sell cloud services, etc. And similarly, from an applications or a services perspective, RackNap helps you to offer managed services purchasable by a customer. How do you set the RI plans, reserved instance plans? How do you create software subscription plans, etc.? How does the customer see it? How does the customer purchase it, etc.? So those are some of the things which I want to cover right now in the subsequent sections. Okay. Let me switch over to a demo storefront. Okay. As you can see, this is a storefront of a CSP with the name Red Star Enterprises, which is primarily helping to offer services to end customers. Okay? So if you look at it here, okay, this particular CSP is offering a multitude of products under its portfolio. Some of them could be, for example, some of them are, under the Office 365 portfolio. The entire SKU listing what Microsoft offers can be offered via the storefront. Okay, the software subscriptions, the Windows Server licenses, and the SQL Server licenses, they are all grouped under here. For example, from private cloud offering, RackNap helps you to offer OpenStack to customers. It offers reserved instances from an automatic provisioning standpoint, etc. as well. Okay. And aside to all of this, if you are offering managed services, RackNap can help build that managed services for you from your end customers too. Okay, so I'll focus a little bit more, for example, on the reserved instance as such. Okay. We saw earlier in the presentation that Microsoft focuses a lot on advertising and marketing reserved instances because of the benefits what it offers from a pricing standpoint. Okay, so if you look at the pricing standpoint, for example, for the purposes of this demo, we have set up about 4 plans in here, right? So these are 1-year plan, 3-year plans, and the appropriate pricing, etc., etc. And each of these plans are driven by the price point what is set from the back end. Okay, and I'll show you how the customer is able to, how you as a CSP is able to set up those plans as well. Okay, now the customer says, hey, I want this 1-year virtual machine BS series to be purchased. But Microsoft mandates that for the end customer to be able to purchase a particular reserved instance, you need to have an existing Azure subscription. Okay? So if he doesn't have a subscription, Microsoft tells you, hey, please go and buy a reserved instance. So now in this scenario, I'm just going to quickly log in and then do a simple purchase of a reserved instance for an existing customer, right? So just to, assuming that this particular customer already has an existing Azure subscription. So just logging in there. Yes, now as you can see here, this customer already has a domain associated with it. Along with that, it's already saying that this already customer has a subscription associated. And in reserved instance concept, the customer is given the ability to say that the reserved instance pricing and all of that should be applied to a particular subscription, or can this be spread across multiple subscriptions under the same tenancy? Okay, the customer says, okay, I just need it to be shared across every other subscription, whatever I provision under this tenancy. Okay, so the customer is able to select all of this, and here he's actually selecting the number of virtual machines, whatever he is keen to buy as well. Okay, so he can increase it, he can decrease it, etc. And depending on whatever he has chosen, the appropriate pricing gets reflected accordingly. Okay, and as you can see here, the appropriate taxations and everything, they get applied depending on the appropriate tax residency of the customer, whatever is configured on the platform, etc. as well. Okay, so the customer is simply just adding it to his cart, and then just be able to look at it to say what is the final pricing he's going to give. For example, this is the total price what he will pay, and if he has a promotion code which is going to be applied on top of the price, then he can put that in as well, and that discounted price is what will appear here too. Okay, so as you can see here, very simplistic flow. Customer selects a reserved instance particular option from the storefront. He selects the subscription which he would like to associate to that reserved instance, and then now he is just increasing the number or attaching the number of virtual machines, whatever he would like, and then he's going to complete the purchasing flow as such. Very simplistic, straightforward flow, nothing complex as such in there, and the customer just needs to make a payment here. Okay, because reserved instance is all about paying everything upfront for the entire year as such. And if you see here, the customer has multiple options to pay, or rather 2 options to pay here. One is an offline bank transfer, or a PayPal option, whereby the customer enters the credentials for PayPal, pays the money upfront, and then the services get provisioned. So for the purposes of this, I'm just going to do an offline transfer mode here, just to make sure that we complete the purchase right now. And if you can see here that now the actual provisioning of that subscription is happening, and the offline payment details, whatever is needed, is all mentioned in here too. Okay, so far we have looked at, for example, the purchasing flow of a customer who is just purchasing a reserved instance as such. Okay. Similarly, let's look at, for example, the scenario of a customer purchasing, for example, a software subscription here, right? So, for example, you can have Windows Server licenses and SQL Server licenses, etc. as well. As you can see here, there are different pricing options mentioned here for the various plans on offer. Again, these plans are also driven by data what is supplied in the backend. Okay, so whereby pricing is all set in the back end, and this is just some dummy data as such, so don't worry about the exact numbers as such. This is just dummy data. So these pricing, the plans in terms of whatever you see here, they are sourced by the price list what Microsoft provides, that you can load it onto the RackNap portal easily or import them easily, and then you can connect them to the marketplace like this. Okay, so if you look at the SQL Server pricing here, the customer says, I want to buy this particular license here. He is associating that to a particular domain name in here. The customer says, I want to do it for a 3-year period. And then he says how many licenses he's going to buy of this kind. Okay, so he can buy multiple licenses, depending on whatever his options are. Okay, and for example, once he has decided that this is what I would want to do, he adds it to his cart and then continues the purchase as what we just saw earlier completely, in terms of making a payment, etc. Too. This is very straightforward, nothing complex there, very simplistic purchasing flow from here as well for the customer. Okay. And similarly, let's take an Office 365 purchase too, in terms of how that is able to be purchasable as well. Again, very similar concept as such. Customer adds, for example, the plan to his cart, adds the number of licenses, and if there are, for example, options for him to be able to buy, add-ons, he will be able to do that also from here. Okay, so if you look at, for example, the pricing plans here, there are 3 plans in here, again with the different features available. These are all driven again from the back end. Customer says, I just want to be able to just buy a simple plan here, and then under the service section here, you can see an add-on option here, right? So whereby the customer chooses an essential suite option, but then he's able to add, for example, additional storage option as well here at this particular price point. Okay, and then he is able to add it to his cart and then continue with the purchase. Okay, so again, from a purchasing standpoint, as you can see, it's a very, very, very simplified purchasing flow, nothing complex here for the customer to purchase. Okay, so far we looked at the purchasing option for the customer. Now let's look at how the customer is able to manage his subscriptions as such. Okay, so I'm going to log on to the customer's end user portal. Okay, so this is the end user portal or the end customer portal, where the customer is able to look at all the services whatever he has purchased. For example, we just did a purchase of, for example, an Office 365 with an add-on. We did a purchase of a software subscription as well. We did a purchase of a reserved instance too as well. Okay, and then prior to the discussions, I did, for example, a purchase of an Azure subscription as well, a standard subscription, not an RI, just standard subscription too. So all of these are available for the customer to see in his panel. Okay, and remember, these are purely currently showing just Microsoft offerings. Okay, so if you as a CSP, you are offering non-Microsoft offerings as well, then RackNap can help provision those as well and get them all of that displayed in one panel here as well, which could be an AWS offering, or which could be an IBM offering, GCP, G Suite, etc., whatever you name it. Okay, so here let me look at let's say, for example, an email offering here. Okay, whatever he has purchased so far. As you saw there earlier, the customer provisioned or requested for provisioning an essential suite under this particular host name. Once, because RackNap is tightly integrated with the Partner Center portal. With the APIs, RackNap is actually able to get the details of the actual tenancy and the subscription, what has been provisioned, and this is displayed in the customer's portal directly. Now, for purposes of confidentiality and security, we have hidden the username and password, but that is what the customer is able to see that directly. Okay, and this is the start date, the end date, the customer purchased a 1-year option, the first year payment is this, subsequent payment is this, etc. as well. Okay, And very important ability is the customer has the capability to renew his service directly from here, be it on a monthly basis or be it on a much prolonged basis, be it yearly, half yearly, etc., or multiple years too. Okay. And one of the other biggest pain points for CSP is the pain around having to manage one license increase, one license decrease, etc. It's a significant time wasting exercise for the CSP. So RackNap helps to minimize that by empowering the customer with the tool to manage this by himself, so that the customer is able to add these additional licenses by himself based on the pro rata calculations. The system is able to give him all of the details too. Okay. And all of this is ability by the customer to be able to manage the services, for example, from an email solutions perspective. And let's look at, for example, the software subscriptions aspect of it. Okay. So again, we looked at the purchase of a customer purchasing a SQL Server Enterprise license via the marketplace, and he purchased it under this particular host name. These are the details. These are basically the order ID, etc., etc. So this is also automatically provisioned via the API integration, and with us connecting to the Partner Center portal under your CSP account, this customer has been provisioned his services too. Okay. And then subsequently, if you look at reserved instances, again, billing of that, collecting the payment upfront, looking at cash flows and all of that kind of stuff, you can avoid all of that because RackNap does the work for you in terms of provisioning. It does the work for you in terms of billing the customer too, and giving him all the information what he needs to be able to manage the subscription directly on Azure. So he may be able to directly go on to Azure, look at this and attach his workloads and do anything directly on that instance directly there. Okay, so that's under the reserved instance as such. Okay, and I think let's quickly move on to the last aspect, which we did not look at it from a purchasing standpoint, but maybe worth mentioning in this conversation. Aside to RI, Microsoft also offers a standard Azure offering, which is predominantly an on-demand or a pay-per-use model. So in that pay-per-use model, customer is provisioned with an empty subscription like this. Okay, and once that subscription is provisioned, the customer can go ahead and use anything what he likes in the CSP portal directly, in the Azure portal directly, whereby he can consume his workload, or he can create new workload, create virtual machines, etc., as well. So when he is able to do all of that, RackNap gives him the ability to look at actual consumption under the usage section here. Say, for example, if you look at customer being able to look at the data in his usage section. So for this particular duration, the customer can look at the actual usage data. Okay, so for example, when he clicks on show, it gives him the details on the screen, something like this, whereby it talks about the resource groups, the appropriate categories, etc., the rates, the consumption, the costs, and everything. So RackNap gives the customer the ability to see his actual consumption directly in his RackNap control panel. And remember, Microsoft does not give the end customer the portal to look at his costing as such with the CSP. Microsoft does not give you that, give the customer that ability, but RackNap gives him that ability to do that. So inside RackNap control panel, the customer can look at his consumption, etc., directly, and look at his usages, etc., as well. And also, RackNap gives him the ability to understand his usage patterns against certain threshold limits, whereby let's say he has a budget limit of, let's say, 5,000 rupees, and the consumption, let's say if it has reached 70% of that 5,000, then he can be alerted, etc. So RackNap has ability to alert the customer based on actual consumption patterns too. Okay, so these are some of the capabilities from a platform perspective what RackNap is capable of doing. And then something very important is the billing aspect. This is one of the biggest pain points for a CSP, to be able to administer the billing for the end customer. Okay, the CSP is built accurately by Microsoft on a regular basis, but the problem is, how does the CSP get to bill the end customer? This is where RackNap comes in. Okay, so if you look at RackNap gets the customer to be billed, and then an invoice is generated for that. For example, if the customer has not made the payment, then an unpaid invoice is generated with all the taxation values and all the details, etc. as well. For example, for the reserved instance, purchased on an annual plan for this particular order ID, etc., etc. Okay, so these are some of the capabilities in terms of from a billing standpoint, what the customer is able to see from an invoicing, orders, receipts, etc. as well. Okay, so billing is very, very, very crucial, right? And provisioning of the services seamlessly is also crucial. Okay, so we looked at the capabilities in terms of purchasing. We looked at the capabilities in terms of automatic provisioning and billing too. I want to do a quick poll to understand, how many of you have an automation tool or a billing tool to manage your business right now? Just to understand, how efficient it is. Is it really efficient? I'm very happy with what I've got. Yeah, I have something which is not efficient to my liking. I would like to improve on it. Or somebody says, no, I don't have anything at all. It's really, I'm really doing everything manually. So I'm opening it up for people to vote, just to understand what is the general trend amongst the audience here. I'll wait for another 20 seconds to see, that we can get some good responses for this one. Okay, maybe another 5 more seconds and then we'll stop there. Okay, so the results have come. The results say that about 50% say they're doing it manually. And as you may see, you may have seen already that a lot of work around the complexity of billing the customers, being able to provision this automatically, etc., is seamlessly taken care by RackNap. And about 17% say they do have some tools, but it's not as efficient as they would like it to be. So it's very important to know that RackNap as a platform can actually help you to manage the delivery of the services and the provisioning as well efficiently. Okay, so with that said and done, let's quickly move on to other aspects of the platform, what I would like to showcase to you today. From a customer standpoint, the last important thing which I wanted to mention about was the ability for the customer to be able to create a ticket, support ticket, to be able to log queries and issues with you as a CSP. So he is able to select what he has a problem with. He's able to select appropriate defect category, and then says he has an issue with support, and then probably, let's say, he has a problem with the mail server. The system gives him a predefined list of options what he may have to check before he logs a ticket, so that it helps to minimize the number of tickets what he may be raising with you, so that your ticket volumes keep going down as such. Okay, so RackNap's ticketing capability helps you to stay on top of your customer satisfaction results and everything, because you are in constant touch via the tool to be able to manage the interaction with the customer. Okay, aside to this, for example, we also have ability to be able to make announcements, etc., email logs and things like that as well. Okay, there is a question from someone on the chat which says, we do get the invoices through the CSP, how RackNap would be a differentiator, right? So if you are an end customer and you are getting invoices via the CSP, then that's great. And if the CSP is using RackNap to do it, that's even better. But aside to the billing capability for the CSP, RackNap also helps with other capabilities around being able to provision services automatically, being able to bundle services, being able to offer multi-cloud offerings, etc. as well. So RackNap typically takes care of not just billing; it takes care of multiple other things as well. Okay. So moving on, we've so far, just to summarize what we have looked at is we looked at customers provisioning flow or ordering flow, customers management flow around what the services he is able to manage. Okay. Now let's quickly jump into what the CSP as an administrator is able to do. Okay. So if I log in into the administration panel of the CSP. So if you look at the administration aspect, as an administrator, okay, if you look at it, I'm able to see multiple tabs on the top. Here it talks about, ability to look at the customer listing. As a product manager, I can look at my product listing, marketing, sales, etc., etc. Okay, so RackNap helps you to give your internal people different roles and privileges, whereby it can help up with appropriate functions what they can perform with their role. Okay, so if you look at it, there is a dashboard quite interesting to understand. What are the revenue numbers? Because if you are a service owner, you'll be very keen to know how much is my revenue compared on a month-on-month basis, how is it doing over the previous month, etc., etc. How many are the fresh paid invoices, unpaid invoices, etc. as well. You can look at, and obviously this is test data, you're not having huge amount of value to look at as such, but predominantly you can look at quite a number of useful information around, who are the top 10 customers with credit balance, debit balance, etc., etc. as well. Okay, and then similarly from a sales point of view, it's always vital that you understand, what is your sales on a per product basis. You are always keen to know whether your appropriate, hunters or the salespeople are able to do their job, or the renewal teams or the billing team are able to do their jobs, etc., to understand whether you need to focus more on the fresh sales or renewal sales, etc. as well. Okay, so some of, I'm just showing, I'm not showing you every single available detail in here, but plenty of dashboard reports for you to understand the customer as such, in terms of, understand the business as such. Okay, so if you look at let's say a customer's record, this is an actual customer belonging to this organization, and this is the customer account ID. He owes a huge amount to you as the CSP, so it's a bright red. And the other aspect is, for example, if you are an account manager, you would know in the next 7 days how many of his services are due for renewal, and if he is placing an order, you can add an order on behalf of the customer directly in here. You can look at all the email communications as well directly here. It'll clearly tell you, when the email was triggered, how many, etc., etc. All of that details are clearly laid out, and these are white labeled as well. Okay, so that you as a CSP, are able to look at the communication to the customer in your own language, format, structure, etc. Right, and the products and services which the customer has purchased is all listed in here. Full details of active service, when they purchase it, etc., etc. Okay, and then similarly, if I'm a product owner, I look at the entire product listing in here, being able to understand the complete portfolio of my customers who have purchased different products. Obviously, from a search filter perspective, I can filter it based on what product, so that I can understand which customers have purchased what, etc. as well. Okay. And then similarly from a marketing side, email communications, so plenty of emails which you can generate, all customized, branded as per your guidelines, etc. And SMS, RackNap is integrated with a couple of SMS gateways, whereby you can send SMS to your customers, and for example the promotions and discounts as well, whereby you can create multiple promotions on the platform, and then be able to actually apply that or give that promotion code to the customer, and then they will get that appropriate discount percentage at the time of checkout, etc. as well. You can say how long it is applied for too. Okay, These are from a promotion standpoint. From a sales standpoint, it's very important for you as a business owner to understand, how many, for how many renewals are going to happen in the next, let's say, 12 days. Okay. The system say there are 14 customers who have purchased 18 services in total worth about $14,000. That's pretty much your renewal going to happen for the next couple of weeks. Okay, so that you can start understanding, how much renewals are going to come in, and you can plan for resources, plan for budgets, plan for forecasts accordingly as well. Okay, and if you want to know what is included in those 800, you can click on it. It'll tell you whatever it is, etc. Okay, so these are some of the capabilities from a renewal standpoint. Aside to this, there are capabilities around orders listing, etc., to understand what are all the orders which are coming to the portfolio as well. And the plenty of capabilities. Again, I will not go through every one of them right now. There is support capability. There are plenty of reports as well, billing reports, inventory, product reports, etc. Okay, and one capability touching upon reserved instances and software subscriptions is the ability for you as the CSP to be able to upload the price list as such. So if you look at it, there is an import price list option whereby you can actually import the price list of an Office 365 subscription, of a price list, or for example, an Azure RI price list as well. So you just need to select the file from which you would want to upload the price list. For example, this is Office 365. You just select the appropriate Office 365 price list in here and give an appropriate name, and the system imports it completely onto the system. The same applies for RI, etc. as well. So once that import happens, the system gives you the ability to actually select the markup what you want to give for your customer. Now, for argument's sake, let's say I'm selecting this particular price list to be uploaded. The system has, for example, imported X number of plans in here, and the system is asking how much is the markup you want to give for the customer. Right, so for example, let's say there's a 7% markup here. So when you put all these other essential details in here, including product app secret keys and whatnot and things like that, the system will create these plans automatically, which is all the selected plans will be created automatically. And if there are any applicable add-ons as well, this may also be available to see here straight away. Okay, so effectively the customer is given the CSP is given the option to actually add or import the price list in a much more easier way, rather than having to do it manually. And as you may already appreciate, the number of SKUs is increasing by the day. So now it's very helpful for the CSPs to be able to import it automatically and then be able to save a good amount of their time. The same concept or the principle applies for Azure RI as well, whereby the CSP just needs to import the reserved instance price list from there, and then be able to apply the appropriate markup and then import it as well. They can amend the name of the product as well. If you recall, this is the actual product which was appearing in the marketplace. They can change it as well by any additional names, whatever they would like to give as well from the purchasing standpoint. Okay, so to summarize, we have looked at various abilities for the CSP as such to be able to look at plenty of business intelligence report to understand the health of the service, plenty of information from a marketing manager, from a sales manager, from a product manager, from a support personnel, etc., to be able to manage the services in one place. I'm sure you all have different tools to manage different things, but to have everything in a single consolidated place is what RackNap is able to do. And you also saw a number of things around ability to import price lists, so that it's very, very hassle-free experience for you to understand how to import the price list, how you can easily update the markup, etc., so that the marked up price is what is displayed in the UI from a customer standpoint. Okay, So with that said and done, I would like to quickly switch back into the PPT as such, just to go through a couple of other salient features as such. So to summarize RackNap in terms of what it is able to do from an Azure perspective, it offers Azure VMs on a reserved instance model, which is the RI basis model, which we talked about. It can offer standard Azure in a pay-per-use or a prepaid model. We looked at how the billing, how the usage consumption reports look like. We looked at the custom budget limit, credit limit option for the customer, whereby customers credit limit can be set and they can be monitored based on consumption. Customer has the ability to use any Azure service under this and can be billed via RackNap. And this is where RackNap helps to actually give the ability to bill anything, which could be an IoT, AI, BI, any kind of service. Email alerts can be sent to the customers based on consumption. Markups can be done. Customer specific discounts can be done, and resources can be grouped as per resource categories, whereby it can help to manage the workload effectively, to understand where there is a bulk workload, etc. as well. Okay. And then purely from an Office 365 standpoint, although we didn't dwell too much on it, to summarize the capabilities from a RackNap perspective, it has one-click trial option. Entire SKU listing can be provisioned automatically via the platform. Price list can be imported. Markups, renewal of the service, downgrades and upgrades can be done. Flexible billing options and migration between one CSP to another is also capable within the RackNap platform. Now, the overarching value proposition of RackNap is all about offering a unified marketplace to sell cloud and non-cloud. In the cloud offering, this could include reserved instances, software subscriptions, add-ons to associated with Office 365, etc. To be able to sell, to B2B and the B2C segments, both of them, flexible billing options, self-service portal for the customer to manage his services, ticketing module, and one other important capability is the sale, manage everything from a sales life cycle. And RackNap's sister company is a CSP itself, so the platform is developed with inputs from the CSP as such. So that really helps in the overarching flow in terms of the platform capabilities as well. Okay. Now with that said and done, I'll quickly move on to a couple of other important features in terms of the business case, how it stacks up for you, right? So for example, if you look at the now total number of Office 365 seats, how much you sell in a year, for example, right? Say you have roughly about 5,000 seats. And on an average, if you say it costs about $10 per seat, you would roughly be making about 600,000 in a year, right? And without RackNap, that's what you would be making. But with RackNap, it gives you a white labeled SEO optimized marketplace, which means you can drive more traffic to your website. And even if you convert 1% of that traffic, that leads to an increase in revenue of about $120,000 per year. Okay. And then similarly, RackNap helps you with upsell and cross-sell capabilities as well, whereby you can start offering additional bundles, additional offerings, whereby it helps you to upsell and cross-sell new product ranges as well. So on an average, if you sell at least 20 of this in a month, you're actually increasing your revenue by about 48,000. So the potential to increase the revenue is about $168,000 in a year, based on actual increase in terms of using RackNap as such. That's the potential what RackNap can give you in terms of increase in sales. Okay. And obviously individual circumstances will drive these numbers up or down depending on your needs. Then similarly, in our survey earlier, we saw that about 50% of the audience, they do not have a platform at all to manage their business, which is very worrying, because it is prone to errors, it's prone to a lot of inefficiencies. And actually this is summed up very nicely in this slide here about the impact of the cost in terms of cost savings when you use RackNap. So on an average, if you say you get 5 orders in a day and you take about 1 hour and 15 minutes to process that order, you spend about 6 hours processing this order, talking to the customer, getting a purchase order, giving it to the provisioning team to provision it, generating a PO, generating an invoice, sending it back to the customer. It's a very lengthy, prolonged process. It takes about 6 hours. But as we saw earlier in the demo, this can all be squeezed within an hour pretty much, but with pretty much nothing to do for you, because everything is self-service by the customer goes to the marketplace, he purchases it by himself, services get provisioned automatically, he makes the payment, and he is able to get his services as well provisioned directly too. So all of this can be handled within the short time frame. So on an average, you can save up to 5 hours in a day. So that translates to an average of about $30,000 in total for the entire year. That's the kind of savings potentially you can recognize, depending on how much manual work you do. This can increase or decrease depending on how you operate your existing setup as such. Okay. Some couple of very other important points is RackNap has a very strong, close working relationship with Microsoft over a number of years. We are very much listed in the Azure marketplace. We are in the OCP catalog, which is the one commercial partner catalog for Microsoft salespeople. And the other abilities, for example, RackNap was nicely rewarded with an IMCP award for partner to partner enablement, whereby we helped fellow Microsoft partners to be successful by using the RackNap platform. So I'm sure some of you also may be able to be benefit from the platform as such. We were also recognized by CRN award, by the SME Channels award as well, and we did quite a number of GTM activities with Microsoft, which significantly helped to improve the profile of the platform as such, and also being able to increase the reach, whereby CSPs were able to benefit from it as well. We did a joint PR with Microsoft as well. The blog post which Munesh, our chairman, did it as well. This was also published quite extensively, and all of this is establishing the credibility aspect of RackNap as such, being establishing as a true credible player in the market too. Okay. And having been in the market for a few years right now, RackNap has customers across the globe. It has customers right from Australia to America, in pretty much every continent too. And we have close association tie-ups and technology partners, with various different technical organizations as such. Okay. With that said and done, having looked at the platform capabilities based on what you saw so far, I'll be very keen to understand, whether RackNap actually has a role to play in your business, to see whether we will be able to play a role in enabling you to be successful. Okay, so I've just put up a poll right now to get some transparent feedback around where RackNap can possibly help. If yes, if not, why not, etc. Right? I'll be happy to listen to some feedback as well, and I'm opening up the chat as well for any questions along the way. We have about 2 more minutes to the end of the webinar, so I'll be eager to take any questions if people have anything to request. Okay, I'll give another about 15 seconds for the poll to close. I'll also wait for any chat questions too. Okay, I'll probably share the results as well. Roughly about 82% of the audience have said certainly there will be RackNap will be able to help them with their needs. So if you think if this is the right way to go, please get in touch with us at touch@racknap.com. We will be able to help you with this in terms of helping to provision reserved instances automatically. All the new offerings which Microsoft is introducing, we'll be able to do that as well. And yes, this session is being recorded. You will be sent a WebEx record, the GoToWebinar recording as well after this session as well, and you will be able to see a walkthrough of the entire session again. We'll be happy to talk to you as well. There is a couple of questions coming up on the chat window about Microsoft is introducing the cloud agreement option as a mandatory option. How is it able to be, how is it going to be handled inside RackNap? Yeah, so RackNap takes the compliance requirements from Microsoft very seriously. We are very actively working on it as well right now, and there is a deadline of March 22nd for the Microsoft cloud agreement to be implemented for cloud partners, for control panel vendors like RackNap. RackNap will be able to get this completely compliant before that date. So be assured, we are on the case. We will have RackNap fully compliant too. Okay. And the next one is there is a question about how does RackNap integrate with internal developed systems. We need to be able to have API integrations, etc. Yes, RackNap has certain APIs which are exposed from a public API perspective, open API perspective, invoices, debit notes, credit notes, orders, etc., etc. And obviously there may be other internal needs as per your local integration system perspective. We will be happy to explore that. We do have some APIs exposed. Even if we don't have anything what you need, we may be able to work on exposing them so that you still continue to use your existing systems for certain purposes, and you can use RackNap for billing and provisioning. Okay. There is another question about multi-factor authentication. Microsoft is introducing multi-factor authentication as a part of the compliance routine as well. How is RackNap compliant with that? Be assured, again, we take compliance requests very seriously. We work with Microsoft on that actually also very seriously too. February 4th, I believe, is the deadline for the multi-factor authentication to be launched on the platform. RackNap will be compliant by that date, and in fact we may be able to release it slightly before that date as well. So we're very well on that case too. There is another question about direct build requirements. How can RackNap help with direct build requirements? Yes, RackNap is helping CSP tier 1 partners to have the billing and provisioning infrastructure to be handled via RackNap. It plays a very vital role in this. So please get in touch with us at touch@racknap.com, and we will be able to support you in your direct build requirements and be able to be enjoying the benefits of being a tier 1. Is so another question, is RackNap hosted in your premises, or can I host it under my CSP subscription or in my data center? Yes, very much so. Very good question. RackNap can be hosted under your own subscription on Azure. You have complete data security in terms of the data as such. Be assured that we are pure play software vendor. You are the ultimate data owner as such for your customers' data. You can host it in your own subscription itself. No problems with that. You can host it in your own data center too. It can be hosted in cloud, or there is also a SaaS offering which is for entry level CSPs who are like 2 people, 3 people organization who just want to get into cloud. We have very basic SaaS offering as well, which is no customizations, very minimal offering. That's the SaaS offering to which we have. I am an indirect reseller. How can I use the RackNap platform? Again, very good question. RackNap is tightly integrated with the Crayon, which is a distributor, as many of you may know, whereby the B2C element of the integration, which is you being a partner and your integration or your relationship with the customer, can be managed via the platform. The B2B element is taken care by Crayon, and both of this is integrated via API. So RackNap is integrated via APIs to Crayon's Cloud IQ portal, with which the seamless integration in terms of provisioning and billing happens. We may be able to, integrate with other distributor systems as well. So if you are an indirect reseller, get in touch with us. We'll be happy to discuss with you in terms of any integrations with your provider as well. Okay. Let me take maybe one more question in the interest of time. I'll see if anything else pops up on the screen. Yeah, I hope, I think there are no more questions which I can see so far. So I hope you found the session useful. Really appreciate your time and for listening in through the entire session. I would request you to fill up a very short survey at the end of this webinar, just to get some honest feedback from me so that we can improve on what we have shown today. And please do get in touch with us at touch@racknap.com for any further conversations with us. Thank you and have a great day ahead.